Welcome to Musk Time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 231 on this December 8th of 2021. I hope everyone's having a good time. And Casey, put up Volcano Girl's comment about sharing the feed. That's right on. Thank you very much. We would appreciate that. But yeah, we've got an exciting evening planned with lots of Tesla news. And let's get right to it. First of all, we've got our friend Mr. Casey Green joining us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Still waiting on FSD 10.6, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And there was a little bit of snow after coming out of a doctor's appointment. That was fun. Thankfully, it didn't stick to anything because that would have been unpleasant. And then right afterwards, the car decided it would wash its own windshield, and we're just sitting at a red light, and I wasn't paying any attention to the screen because I was holding the wheel and it wasn't twitching. And all of a sudden I hear a sound, and it was the pump for the washer. And there they go. And it washes its windows completely different than when you push the button and hold it. It's a lot more reserved. It doesn't freak out and wonder where this water came from and then start flapping the wipers. It is like 1, 2, 6, and done.
Cool.
Very good. Very good. Also joining us, per usual, Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the Portland area. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Hello, everybody out there in Tesla Nation. And I just have to say, anybody named Volcano Girl is just awesome. So welcome. Glad that you're here. We're going to have some fun. It'll be a great time.
Very good. Very good. Well, let's get it started off with could be a Christmas gift for some households. What's that all about?
It could be a Christmas gift, but Tesla was careful to warn people that it might not show up on time. So what we're talking about is the CyberQuad for kids, and it's got a 15-mile range and up to 10 miles an hour speed limit. In level 1, it's 5 miles an hour, and reverse is always 5 miles an hour up to. This is actually built by Radio Flyer, and the thing sold out super quick, just like everything does with Tesla. But I have hope that since it is Radio Flyer, we may see additional batches built, just like we saw with the Model S and Model S facelift, and eventually the little Model Y for toddlers. Those went pretty well, but they wanted $1,900 for this, and it sold out really, really quickly.
Which means they were too cheap.
This is true. And then they, after they sold out, they started to get scalped. Yeah, so there's a nice video with Franz and his kids. I'm assuming those are Franz's kids. But Franz was playing on them with some kids that look like him. And
little mini Franzes.
Yes. And it's got a weight limit of about 150 pounds. So those of us with American proportions are not able to participate.
No, but Franz was on one that did not look like the kid version.
Yeah.
Oh, he was on the real one. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that picture you were just showing there. In the background, there's a
Franz was in the background. It looked like a much larger kids version. So that might have been.
I was just thinking that Franz was fit, so I was like, oh, he can ride on it.
But there was during the video there was an adult riding one that definitely looked like he was driving a Barbie car. It was he was sticking out on all ends. Yeah.
All right, on the outro little cameo scene, Franz is on the one for kids.
Right.
But you're right.
We're going to get the full 15-mile range with an adult on there.
Not at all.
No.
That is definitely going to be cut back for sure.
Up to your mileage may vary.
Right.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, it'll go as far as you push it.
Next story. Excuse me. Next story. We're going to touch upon the Starlink Wi-Fi spreading out. This time it goes north of the border.
Nice.
So we got a report from just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, that a supercharger spot at Guilford Town Center in BC, which is just outside of Vancouver, the tower was spotted. The the dish was spotted above the utility shack. So it looks like it's spreading out more. If you out there happen to see one in your neighborhood, take a snapshot of it and share it with us on our Twitter feed, our Facebook feed, or send it by email. We'd love to share it with the viewing audience.
I wonder if the new Woodbridge Supercharger under construction will get a Starlink. I will have to report it and let you guys know.
Exactly. And they tend to put them on poles that are in that utility shack, if there is a utility shack. Typically the fenced off area. Sometimes
the whole thing is fenced off right now.
But sometimes I noticed in the earlier Superchargers, they
had them in that cage.
That cage where the controllers and the not the transformer, but the Tesla equipment was stored.
Right, and then a lot of the new ones are just all out in the open. Like, nobody's concerned with this stuff.
Yeah.
But the only concern for me there is there'd have to be a really tall pole, because where the Superchargers are going to, or where they're being installed, there's a lot of tree coverage. So I don't know if they would put it somewhere else, or if this would just not receive it.
Yeah, I doubt they would put one up if it's not going to receive the signal properly. They'll definitely move it in that case.
Cut a tree.
that's not going to happen. That would not be good PR if that was ever discovered.
No, just put it further in the parking lot where there are already no trees. Run a cable, trench it, and you're done. Easy.
Exactly. So more on the horizon, and keep your eye out for them, and let us know if you see it. You can send us that photo on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life. You can also see us on our Facebook feed, the Tesla Life #1, and of course here on YouTube. Next, let's move on to a recall that happened this week for the Model Y. It started out as a North American or US recall, which had identified about 1,000 different vehicles. Of course, Tesla knows what vehicles have the problem based on the serial numbers, so they know exactly who to contact for this recall. But there has been a problem with front and back knuckle suspension joints. So they discovered about 1,000 of them in the US, the article had indicated. And then shortly after that, a little bit further into the week, China had indicated that there was going to be a recall for the same knuckle joints, and that is about 22,000 units. But again, if you are affected by the problem, Tesla will definitely reach out to you direct, because they know what serial numbers are having the issue based on the installation, the production line, and what's been assigned to your serial number. So no need to worry too much about that. If you don't hear from them, you don't have the issue. So that's the best way to
or they don't know you have the car, so make sure that on the website that your car is registered to you.
Right. Yeah. Your wife may be getting the notifications and throwing them out. So so definitely keep in communication with the car owner for sure.
Or the previous owner that you purchased it from.
I had that happen with my Model S. I was getting stuff for the guy, and then later on, after I sold it, I was getting information that the next person should have had.
And what did you do in that case, Casey? Did you have to transfer it? Did you have to transfer the ownership, or did you have to wait till they did it?
Eventually, they did it,
okay.
Which was good because I was tired of knowing that the car had reached their house and had been plugged in. These people with these credential failures, they're just all so lucky that it's me. Like, there's a lady who has all her bills, all her kids' school stuff sent to my email because apparently she likes the address better than hers. And I did cancel her kids' hotel stay because I didn't realize it was the kid. I thought it was her. I was like, this might teach you to stop using my email. And then I was like, crap, it was the kid.
Oh man,
Patrick, your Model 3 photos, you got some fans. We might have to get a Christmas version.
Yeah, we have to update this photo. The roof looks so cool in the rain.
It does.
Yeah,
we get lots of rain here. So,
and isn't it ironic, Patrick, that it's a gasoline colored roof?
This is true.
The only gas you get in a car is the fake tint coat on top of the glass. Makes it look like gasoline in different colors. But yeah, I love it. I love mine with it. Every time I wash it in the summer, I just take that extra look over my shoulder after it's been wetted down. It looks really cool. Depending on, and if it's cloudy, it's you've got the purples, the reds, the yellows, all different colors depending on what stage the sun's at.
Yeah,
very cool.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Patrick, he's got our next story about about Tesla working with another Canadian company.
That's right. Yes. So Tesla is partnering with a little-known casting company for their Gigapress. So this comes to us from Tesla Roddy, and as you know, Tesla is pushing the boundaries of casting. They are doing things that have never been done before in the auto industry, making vehicles in whole new ways. They've been working with an Italian company called Idra, I-D-R-A, all caps. I don't know if it's an acronym for something.
I call it Nidra, but yeah.
Nidra, I don't know. Yeah, since it's not a real word, all the above. I can't argue with you. But that's for the actual press machine. So those have to get cast into something. And for that something, they are working with a Canadian company. And it's not called Exxon. It's Exco. And when I saw the name, I was like, what? Oh, no, okay, it's fine.
Exco I understand now. Limited. So they're making the casts to go in the GigaCast.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, well, are they getting 2 sets? Like, what's the point of that? And now it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So I think these will be the parts that, have to be periodically replaced that go in there. And as they change vehicles or whatever, make improvements, this is the stuff that would have to be changed versus the entire Gigapress machine. So yeah, that's how these two companies work together to help Tesla out. And it's a fascinating story because the CEO of Exco hinted that they're working with Tesla on other things. But then when he was questioned, he refused to answer because those are not public yet. So
right.
I'm very curious what was teased there. And the other thing that he said, and this one I think he's wrong. He said that now that Tesla has forged this path, they expect traditional OEMs to follow Tesla's lead and start using these large die-cast machines as they transition to their EV future.
Their EV future with its what?
Yeah, their future that's free from fossil fuels.
Boom!
Oh, too good. I think that the Chinese companies are going to be the fast followers, and that the traditional OEMs are going to be laggards. But whatever, I say that all the time.
Although Ford just made an announcement that they are going to cast their motors on the F-150 Lightning.
Oh, cool!
Whole motors compared to whole cars.
that's a small step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah.
And
VW
a Gigapress for that, but.
Dee survived the night of the long knives, and
right. That is that's at least the second time that he's had to go through that. So that there are people on the board from the Porsche family and other executives at that company that do not like what he's doing. So everything.
Oh, how dare you try to save our company?
Right. Yeah. It's an
money.
uphill battle to do the right thing, which is why I just don't think that. Long term, they're going to make it. I mean, they have to move fast, and if every step you're questioned by people on the board and other executives, he does not have carte blanche to do what he wants and take the company the way he wants, the way that a founder would. So they're behind and they're going slower. How is that a recipe for success? It's
right.
not. Yeah, 1 minus 1 does not equal 3.
Yeah, that's something that some of his powers were stripped away from him, I understand as well.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have as much freedom as he had previously before this last meeting. So
right, yeah, the unions
could be trouble
going this way because it could be fewer jobs.
And if it's long and drawn out. If maybe there's another call in his leadership 4 months later or half a year later, what's the point? you're just falling further behind. It's taking longer. You may as well axe him now if you're not going to go along with his plans that have been clearly vocalized before this point.
Right. Yes, they know exactly what they're getting with him, and either they're going to do it and they should shut up and listen to him, or they're not and they should cut him loose and let him go lead Tesla Europe and work at Giga Berlin.
and that wouldn't be a surprise at all, would it? If
Nope.
he was
I bet you as soon as he's out, that's where he goes, to Tesla.
That would not be a surprise for sure.
Yeah. But all of this protectionism that they're trying to operate, it doesn't make sense. If they trust him enough to run the company, and he says if we don't change, all these people lose a job, they would rather have all the people lose a job than have to learn a new skill.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is they don't believe that part of it. They're like, oh, that's no. We've been doing
the
this
sun
for
will
100
come up
years.
tomorrow. It's guaranteed.
Right. Yeah, it's worked for the last 100 years. Why won't it work for the next 100 years?
Right.
Some people.
Right. Exactly. Fewer jobs are no jobs.
Right. Yes. Yeah. If you see that reality, it's an easy decision, but people aren't seeing that reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fun future. Oh, let's add another F there.
Yes.
Next story, we're going to talk a little bit about Tesla Energy. There's a community that's just east of Toronto here, Pickering, Ontario, part of the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. And in this particular community, a home builder has decided to build a sustainable or a more sustainable community by providing a number of Tesla power packs into their development. So got a photo here that I can share.
I wonder where they keep getting all these power packs. For something that's discontinued, they sure deploy them a lot.
So these are not the power walls, they're the power packs, right?
So you can see that these are 3 power packs that have been installed at this community. You've got 27 units, and basically this allows them to disconnect from the grid when the grid is down. They've got solar on the roof looks like on 3 of the 4 sides. And it is collecting solar can be for the individual units or for the community to save it just on the power pack. So what that means is that they've given the community the ability to just take from the power packs. So they can just take, be part of the group, the 27 that own the power packs, and just share that energy. But they've also given the residents the ability, if you'd like to add a Tesla power wall to your unit, we'll install it in one of the closets in your unit, and you will move from about a 13 or 15% savings on electricity to a 50% savings. So you can have the ability to double down on the ability to save energy through a battery pack. So every person that owns a unit has that ability to install a Tesla power wall along with the unit that is on the outside, and saves for the 27 units as a combined entity as well.
It reminds me of that apartment complex where they installed 50 power walls?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
this is a much better way to go.
This gives people the ability to, and didn't say anything about being able to retrofit it later on. But I would think that if you got into this community, you purchased this condo unit, you would basically double up whenever you could, because it wouldn't take too long to start to see the difference on your utility bill and see the benefits of getting another battery or expanding the battery that you already have. So
especially if it only covers 10% of the neighborhood on its own, you'd much want to increase that percentage for your personal use.
For your personal use. And then this as a community as well, they also installed 3 level 2 chargers. So people with EVs have the ability to share with those 3 chargers as well. So I see this as an opening thing. This is something that is going to grow in popularity, I'm sure, over time, just based on the savings that can be had here. And once you get a model in place and people start to understand, okay, if I'm buying a condo, this is part of my condo fees, but I receive some of it back through the electricity or the utility thing that we have here with these power walls or power packs. It becomes something that people will surely embrace. And moving up from a 13, 15% to a 50 or higher would be something that people will definitely be looking at based on those initial savings.
It's too bad they've discontinued the power pack, because for
I
something
agree.
like an apartment complex, that seems like just the right size. The mega packs are
Or small office.
are equivalent to what, like 12 power packs, and so here this apartment complex was able to get 3 of them, and they don't have to jump all the way up to the mega pack.
Right, and a power pack is equivalent to 10 power walls. So it's like, come on, let's get something in the middle of these two sizes here.
Right.
Like if I'm running a small factory, I don't want 100 power walls, but I also don't need a power pack.
Right.
Mega pack light.
Oh yeah, mega pack.
Exactly.
I don't need a mega pack. Yeah, we're gonna still do the container, but we're gonna like quarter populate it. Yeah.
Right, like they can still use the same container, just don't fill it up with batteries. Leave a couple every second or every third tray is empty. So
yeah, but that'd be good for upgrades. But what if you don't have the space for it? I mean, it's a 20-foot equivalent unit. It's a container.
That's true.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you'd have to make it module then. There would have to be a way to do that. We also have a business locally here in Kitchener that Mitchell Plastics that put in, must have been over a dozen power packs, and then linked it up, and they're using it, of course, to shave the off-peak hours and do some load balancing, so they don't have to pay the utility the ultimate top price when they're manufacturing or pulling a lot of electricity to run their machinery. So. Yeah. Another business, and that's kind of cool that you go by their place and they have a nice vinyl fence up blocking them in, but just not quite high enough so you see Tesla across the top all the way across. Exactly. I think that was done on purpose. Very good. All right, next we got some surprising news about the Cybertruck, and Patrick's going to tell us about that.
Yes.
Oh,
so,
right.
We did have some surprising news about the Cybertruck.
Casey's gonna, because he's got one on order, so I'll let him take
my mistake.
No,
now, there's a surprise for me. Yeah.
So there was a Twitter exchange where somebody had posted a rumor about the Cybertruck starting with a 4-motor variant, and very quickly Elon responded to this person that I call Other Omar, and confirmed it. So we're going to have a quad motor Cybertruck, as well as unheard of technology from the future today. And it's exciting. A couple folks asked him if we'd be able to change our orders. And of course the answer is yes. But what we was really trying to be asked was, is it automatic? Will it adjust your price? Will it adjust your place in line? That sort of thing. And of course, Elon doesn't answer
details
those.
that yes doesn't cover, because the prices have changed quite a bit. FSD pricing has changed quite a bit. Do you get to keep any of those? It's lots of questions still.
My hope is that they just move everything up one. So my 3-motor becomes a 4-motor, and everybody with a single motor, it just disappears. And that way, if they decide to pull a Model Y rear-wheel drive, they aren't disappointing anybody who pre-ordered. They're only disappointing people who try and order at the last minute. And well, that's a whole other issue. Or they might actually make a rear-wheel drive Cybertruck, because for fleets that makes sense. But we'll see.
So way back when the Model S first came out, they had a 40 kilowatt hour battery version, and then not very many.
I was saving for that one,
and
it got canceled on me.
Right, but if they didn't, if you had that order in place before they stopped it, you got a 60 kilowatt, and they software nerfed it down to 40.
But so I didn't have it till 2 days after he made the announcement, because I was waiting on that last paycheck.
You were so close. Yes,
I was.
Right. And our reoccurring theme on this show
went against our reoccurring theme.
Yes.
That if you can handle the price and you want the car that's available, you act now.
Yeah, but the down payment wasn't $100 then. It was the whole $5,000 or $10,000. So I was trying to get it all together in cash. And then Elon said, nobody's ordering this. It's canceled. I was like, no. Other things that he mentioned is it will have rear wheel steering. So not just like a tank.
The nerfing thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if you ordered a single motor and you don't want to pay the extra for a dual motor, will they software nerf it, and you could get a effective single motor vehicle?
That'd be smart.
That was
I doubt they would want to eat that cost.
Yeah, it's the batteries were not cheap either back then, and
right.
Someone's going to upgrade it at some point.
Right, and that's the part right there is that eventually they'll be tempted to either upgrade to it or rent it. Like, hey, I'm towing for the weekend. Let me get that extra motor. or worse, hey, you're driving along and the rear motor fails. It doesn't happen often, and they can just seamlessly switch to the front motor with a warning to get to the service center.
Right.
So somebody had asked about tank turn, and Elon said it will have both front and rear wheel steering, so not just like a tank, and it can drive diagonally like a crab. Those were his exact words, like a crab. So
I think before.
I think that was a shots fired on that one.
Right. Yeah. And this is good. This is competition. This is what drives innovation. And we saw it when Porsche came out with the Taycan, that all of a sudden those Model S performance versions started getting some boosts. And now we have Plaid, right? So Tesla doesn't want to... they want all the superlatives for themselves.
They've gone beyond Plaid.
So here's a question. With a 4-motor setup, is Tesla going to change what they're doing with these motors? Like, is it going to be more like a Rivian, where the motors are wheel-based?
Oh, no, Rivian still has an inboard as well.
Yeah, it was Workhorse that had them in the hub motors. And
okay.
Tesla will never do that, because it's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
It's unsprung weight. It has all kinds of problems. There's a reason that's not common in the industry today. It's got issues.
So it's like before, when it was going to be a tri-motor, they were talking about 2 motors in the rear and 1 motor in the front.
Just like the Plaid.
So with this particular, I guess it's going to be 2 and 2 then. 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the crabs don't run diagonally, so I don't know why everybody calls it crab mode, but they go sideways.
Because it scrambles.
Sideways. Okay.
So Hakide has a point about the tank turns only happen on dirt, and that feature has not yet been released by Rivian. And
they discovered that they can't control the vehicle at all when it goes into a tank turn spin, which makes it really unsafe when you give it to the unsuspecting public.
Yeah, you have to be on a low traction surface, and there's all kinds of limitations. You would never want that to actually.
And of course, unless you're going to do it on your front lawn, you're going to have people that are going to try it out in the front of their house, and that's going to be a problem on pavement.
Oh yes,
right. They're going to crash into the telephone pole or whatever.
Yeah, everything. Yep.
Rivian already said don't do it on pavement, so.
Do you think that's going to stop them, Casey?
I don't think so. Which is probably why it didn't come out yet. And then David brought up a good point. Hopefully you don't get forced to upgrade to a 4-motor if you want the $49 price. I'm hoping what they do is just literally just move everybody's bucket one to the right. And so if you were already in line for the single motor, you get a free dual motor. And if you're in line for a dual motor, you get a tri. And if you were in line for the tri, you get a quad.
We'll see.
That's a hope. We'll see what Tesla actually does.
I would think that they would give people the ability to move it themselves. I don't think they're going to just jump people to the next.
Well, if they do it at the same price, why not jump? But if they change the price,
it's not going to be the same price. It is not going to be the same price.
You're hoping big there.
Yeah, that's a lot of hope. That is a lot of hope.
But one thing that they didn't mention is if you have 4-wheel steering, you can have a better turn radius.
Right.
At slow speeds, you turn the front to the left, the back to the right, and now you can make it's not a tank turn, but you can still have a much better turn radius. Right. And I know they mentioned crab mode, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the time it comes out that they also have this tight turn radius feature. Or maybe it'll be the first software upgrade.
they were practicing one of those Cybertrucks.
Yeah, we saw the one at the airport in the previous show.
Had the 4-wheel steering for the reduced turning radius. That's definitely
confirms it.
Expected.
Yeah, that seems much more practical than crab mode.
Yeah.
Although there was someone pointed out that crab mode is great for parallel parking, and yeah, that's pretty handy.
Yeah, parallel parking, or that weird dumpster situation that GM likes to point out with the Hummer. And Patrick and I can tell you, the Model X is it can't reverse park into almost any parking spot without a 2 motion because it's so long and it only has front wheel steering. So it'll be interesting to see what a much longer vehicle does with the rear wheel steering available. I mean, there are some spots like in Texas or they're just wide open that it works 1 motion, but most places you gotta pull forward past your spot, back it in, but now you're going to hit something, so then you got to pull forward again and then straighten up and reverse again. And then if you're letting the car park itself, it'll do that with a 3 motion or 4 or 6 because
I don't let it park itself. Yeah, it's too slow.
It's super slow.
Mm-hmm.
Our next story we're going to take a look at is some behind-the-scenes programming that has been spotted inside of the Tesla app.
Yeah.
It is now showing some hidden signs of, get this, vehicle sharing. So could this be the beginning of the robotaxi or even the early stages of what Elon had talked about quite some time ago now, but about having the ability to not only have a robotaxi, but maybe start the service off with a human driver and offer that ability. So so some code was spotted that went into the Tesla app. It's of course hidden. You can't see it if you're a normal operator of an application, but that information is hidden inside. So do we think that this is the beginning? Do we think that eventually they're going to allow maybe a human driver to start this off as opposed to a robotaxi to start? What do you guys think?
Well, as far as the vehicle sharing features themselves, Elon reiterated that, like a month ago, 2 months ago? So it was good to see that they were still doing that, like to see it, first to hear him say it, and then to see it show up. I do think that they'll probably end up with like a car share feature before they, or at least he did touch on that perhaps they would do, like we could just volunteer after work to go drive customers around, but we'll see what happens. I'm curious. What do you think, Pat?
So I think this is a feature that they've needed for a while, and it might help bootstrap those other features that car sharing is not what you need for someone driving or being driven around. If you're driving them, they obviously don't need app access. If they're doing a robotaxi, they probably don't need app access. You don't want them in your frunk or your glove box or whatever. So right. I think this is the first hint to the Tesla network is jumping the gun.
When I say car sharing, I'm talking like in some of the cities where they'll park the little Leafs or VWs or whatever on the street, and you use the app to open it up. I'm wondering if that's Tesla's implementation of that type of car sharing, like literally where
okay, yeah, like Zipcar used to be.
Yeah, like Zipcar. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Hockey suggested, is this part of the Hertz thing?
Oh, that makes a lot
be
more sense to me. Yeah, that if you're renting a Hertz car, they just send it to your app, and there you go. That makes a lot of sense.
Didn't even think of the Hertz thing.
And it would be something that where the contract wasn't yet done, and now it might be getting closer. That would jive perfectly with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
That's why we do this show.
good
we got some smart viewers there, yeah. And I haven't seen any articles that mention that. They've all been jumping to this other stuff. So I think that we nailed it.
And then there's the people like Eric and several others that swap cars very frequently. It'd be nice to be able to have your profile follow you from car to car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Some people.
Yeah, the cloud profile is a great feature. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, next we're going to go to our FSD Beta Driver, and Casey, what's happening? We heard 10.6 was released, but
It technically is. About 20% of the testers have received FSD Beta 10.6, and of the ones that have it and have a cabin camera, I've heard so many complaints about how annoying or restrictive or aggressive it is this time around, and I'm sitting here wondering, like, what about us that don't have interior cameras? Why not just give it to us? We can't be annoyed by something that doesn't exist. Every plaid that's in one of the tracking apps like Teslafy or Tesla Scope or similar, they've all got the update. Whether or not the owner has chosen to install it is a whole other issue. But other than the plaids, it's been kind of a roll of the dice whether you'll get it or not, whether you have an older car like mine or we do know that if you have an older car than mine, you don't get it. So if you have a 2016, 2017 that you upgraded the cameras on because you got invited, you still don't have the beta. You just now have new cameras that you got, cost included. And then as far as the cars with the interior camera, it's been kind of a roll of the dice whether you get that or not. But the folks who do have it, other than complaining that the watchful eye is too watchful, they are saying it's smoother, it's more precise, and I can't speak to it. It's still being pushed. There was one for a friend of mine yesterday, and this was after it looked like they were slowing it to a stop. So who knows what will become of that? But you can be sure I'll try to take it out in the rain or the snow, in addition to my usual drives. But by the time I get them, so far, everybody else has already done most of it. So it's like, who wants to see me driving in the dry when nobody drives in the rain? I can do this. Yes.
So it's apparently it was aimed at more precision, and as you said, this camera was the second thing. The interior camera
it does
was
too.
the second thing. So it's I wonder if that comes up on the screen. Stop.
It doesn't say it that way, but it basically says pay more attention
to the road and not your nose.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, and all of a sudden the videos are showing up at Tesla HQ, but it's I don't know. It's something that it's going to require refinement. All these things do. So their first implementation of paying attention to the driver to see how they're looking, how their head is held, what their eyes are looking at, how their head is turned. All that kind of stuff is going to be the first round, and definitely I can see some improvements coming as they work it through. Not unlike everything else that's been happening with
that
full
should be part of your
self-driving
safety
first time
score.
around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so, David, they have a continuum of autopilot cars. So they had AP1, and then they had AP2, which is the first one that had all 8 cameras. Those folks have a different kind of, well, it's actually the same camera, but it has a different lens on it. And so their car can only see, or filter, I should say, their car can only see red and green in addition to black and white. Whereas the newer cars like mine can see an additional color, I think it's blue. And so my car and all the Model 3s and forward have the newer cameras, but the older cars, they promised us if we paid full price for FSD that we would get any required updates. And so they were finally making good by giving these folks the new cameras, but then they didn't give them the software yet that we can sell. And for my car, I needed a new AP computer because I had AP 2.5. And so December of 19, I got the upgrade for the computers, video on my channel on that. And what we're going to see next is, according to Panasonic, we're going to see the CyberTruck. According to Panasonic, hinting at the contract they won, we're going to see the CyberTruck actually has the next generation of either computers or at least cameras. And that'll be exciting to see what they do with that and how it trickles down.
Yeah. So again, like anything else, like the computer upgrades, like the changes, all these things are, as Tesla understands what the technology is capable of, and they start to, ramp up computer processing speeds, or they ramp up what the camera can see, or how much of a zoom is on them, all those things cascade down, and changes are made to reflect that in the new cars. So it'll be interesting to see when the Cybertruck is released, what changes it gets, even maybe over the S and the X there could be
Right.
some changes that it receives that are different because they've already learned a little with the S and the X upgrade. So there may be things that it changes too.
Yep, and we've seen this in the past. We saw where, like my case, where the FSD computer was able to get upgraded, and then we've also seen where recently the Chinese Model Ys and some Chinese Model 3s that were destined for Germany are receiving the Ryzen CPU that you saw in the Plaid and long range Model S and X, but they don't have the graphics card. They just have the new processing unit. So they can't play the Xbox and PS4 style games in the Model Y, but it helps keep one part all the way through the chain when possible.
Yep. Next, we're going to touch on an interesting car. People are waiting for the Roadster with those retro rockets attached to it, those cold thrusters. Well, someone got tired of waiting. And this particular gentleman decided that he was going to take matters into his own hand and install some rocket thrust into his Model S. I believe it's a P85. And he installed some. We got a photograph of this that I can share.
The P85 ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous, all right.
Well, I mean, the fact that the P85 didn't ship with ludicrous, so that means that this person actually took the time to actually buy the Tesla upgrade.
3 little rocket engines installed to the back, and these aren't cold thrusters. This is burning fuel.
Oh yes.
And he said he's been able to push it that it gets about an extra second of speed, or reduction of speed of about a second when he's doing his tests up and down the road. But it actually flames out. So you can catch the full video that we have attached to this if you would like to see more. But I like his plate. It says warped. So this is an interesting modification that this gentleman has made to his S. And don't think I would have gone this far, but kudos for someone trying, definitely.
Indeed.
I'm going to go the other way. No, you took an awesome electric vehicle and you now have it burning fuel. And he had it in like some 5-gallon Home Depot bucket sitting on the back seat. That just seems like waiting for a huge vehicle fire where you get into a crash and that splashes everywhere. And now your entire internal part of your car is in flames. Yeah, I do not recommend.
So, Dusty said he stayed 1 second off his 0 to 60, and David says hopefully it's not like the guy who added a rocket to his Chevy.
Yeah.
And then Dusty also asked, I wonder if they will add changes to the headlight to add different parts of the non-human light spectrum to the cameras can use. The cameras that have been deployed so far, all the way from AP1 to today, they don't have the IR filter installed. So the car actually does have an expanded visual spectrum today. And,
right. That's a funny thing. Most photo sensors will pick up IR, and you have to actually put filters in to prevent it, because otherwise you're like, why is this spot all white in my photo? And it's because it doesn't look photorealistic to what a human eye sees. So it's actually easier to have IR than it is to not have IR.
Exactly, and cheaper slightly.
Right.
But in addition to that, on the interior cameras on the cars, they have that same camera on the Model 3s and Model Ys, but then on the Model SX refresh, they went further and they added an IR illuminator, so now they can see you in the dark with the stop digging for gold.
You.
And in fact, when we went to 10.5, they made us all opt in to the FSD. So you already had the software, but it wouldn't actually self-drive until you re-verified that you agree to the agreement, and then they also,
which they had upgraded.
They had upgraded it, and they enhanced the verbiage that they are watching you. It wasn't just we might watch you. We are watching you. And yeah.
Very good. Okay, next, the big story is that Elon was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal recently, and Patrick's got that for us.
That's right. So if you have not seen this, it was very entertaining. Elon was in a good mood and throwing out some jabs. And this was a CEO council summit. And at one point in there, he said CEO is just a made-up term. The SEC only requires a president, a secretary, and a financial officer. Every other title at businesses are just made up. In fact, that's why I'm the techno king.
I bet that went over well.
Yeah, the
interviewer said, "Well, I'm here with a room full of CEOs. How do you guys feel about that?"
Yeah. So there's just all kinds of interesting things like that in there. He talked about how government should be run, how running a deficit is a bad idea. Eventually, that's going to bite you. And he was asked about the subsidies that are in the Build Back Better, and he said, "I'd prefer that there were no subsidies for anybody. I want a level playing field." And Tesla's done fine without subsidies. Which I see his point. I sort of disagree with it. When you have a nascent industry, government subsidies help accelerate that, and I'm all for that. The problem is when those subsidies become ingrained in that industry, and you have something like we had today. Fossil fuel, maybe 100 years ago, it needed government subsidies, but when they became the most profitable companies in the world, and yet they're continuing to get government subsidies, that makes absolutely no sense. So using it sparingly and in the right case, in the right place, I think is really helpful. And I think EVs are in that place today, where, in the US, it's certainly less than 5% of vehicle sales nationally. And we need to get it to at least 20% and eventually to 100%. So until it crosses the chasm and gets to 20 or 25%, I think we need incentives. Anyway, but this is not what I think. This is what Musk said at this meeting. So let's get back to that. There were lots of interesting tidbits in there about that. What did you guys think?
I was surprised about his frankness about infrastructure and the bill that the Biden administration is pushing through, and he was asked a couple times, and he came back to it a couple times, even further into the interview. And basically, his stance is scrap it. There's no point in passing any of this because it's just not necessary. And that's another thing that we've touched upon in many episodes is that Tesla is over the hump. Like, they don't care about any of this stuff because they are so financially set at this point that incentives, rebates, it all doesn't matter to them at this point. They are free and clear, and they can cut their own path, just like we saw with Berlin and not accepting the subsidy for the battery factory.
Oh, we lost Mark. Yeah, so
what did they do? There he is.
Oh, I'm gone. And I'm
back. You
were. So I was just talking about how
the Berlin subsidies.
Berlin, and they just dropped those subsidies. So, it's just
David brings up a good point about this as well.
That he is at the point where Elon's at the point he's saying, we're selling everything we can make. We've got a waiting list now that proceeds somewhere into 2022, late 2022, depending on the model, and we've got nothing to sell. So why have subsidies? It just doesn't make any sense. And then he said, kind of, a comment he made at the end was, maybe our competitors need it, but we certainly don't.
Right. Well, and they certainly do.
Their customers could still use it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would certainly be nice for some, but it's and I think he's upset with the whole union thing, the UAW.
Right.
Extra $4,500 basically if it's a union-made vehicle, and with Biden and his administration not even mentioning the word Tesla, not being invited.
There was one screenshot of a Tesla in a slideshow this morning that Biden
right,
put
up. Yeah, but they've certainly kind of alienated Tesla as an administration, and I think it could have been handled so much better. But now Elon's looking at this, and he's he's kind of fighting back. Those are fighting words based on what I saw during that interview.
Yeah, the only other saving grace to all this is that only the Chevy Bolt qualifies for all of it, and they're not making it. So but he's at further disadvantage than the others, because even if they unionize or join that particular union that left that factory out on their butts in the cold, they will still qualify as a company, as a employee-owned company. So they don't qualify for the union credit, even if they were to make a new union or join the one that's strong-armed them into this garbage in the first place.
Yeah. So it's a sad state of affairs when it comes to that. I'm just happy that Tesla has gotten into a position of strength, that they are now, they don't require any of this. And it's something that they're not going to be held back by.
But they took it a step further, and not only are they not wanting subsidies and turning them down, they're paying back all their loans early to the point where they're just self-funding everything, which is an interesting way to do it, because there is some pretty cheap money still out there.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're cash rich, what does it matter? Stop paying any interest.
Right. Multiple times they've said that they are limited by human talent, not by cash.
Right.
There just aren't enough good engineers to solve all the problems that they need to expand fast enough. Which is one of the reasons that they want to have design centers as well as factories on all continents, so that they can attract talent, whether it's in China or Europe or wherever.
And then, of course, the other interesting thing was just pointing out the U.S. budget. $7 trillion they're going to spend this year, and they're only taking in $4 trillion in tax revenue. So he's going, you know what? Eventually, that's going to stop. Something's going to happen very badly at a bad time, because you continually are borrowing against money you don't have, and you can't make it up. It's got to end somewhere, and he's saying, start now. Start looking at what you can do to cut this, because it's not going to end well if you continue on this track.
Yeah, he said something else I thought was interesting, that if you took all the billionaires in the U.S. today and you took every dollar that they had, that still doesn't even pay off the deficit or the debt to any significant measure. So that was interesting. That you could 100% tax every dollar that every billionaire has, and nope, we're still in debt.
Yeah. It kind of, all governments borrow and borrow more than they can make back, but I don't know. It's looking pretty grim that the amounts have gotten completely out of whack here. And,
they used to be somewhat closer than they are today.
Yeah, it seems that sky's the limit on deficit borrowing. So I'm no economist, but as someone that runs a small business, you can see that you have to have balance. And
it doesn't work in your house, and it doesn't work in your business, but somehow it works for the government. But,
the government has the advantage of they're the ones that print the money. So
that part. Although if Elon had his way and they switched to Doge or something similar, then they would no longer be able to do that. So that point, being able to actually budget would matter. And it's interesting to see how that will all play out, because who is it? China banned it, and another country, I think, was it Venezuela or somebody, actually adopted it. Somebody in South America.
Bitcoin, not Doge.
Well, not Doge. I'm saying
cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well, we're probably going to be around to see it. So, like a lot
right,
of
David?
changes. So it's going to be interesting to see as it changes. But with that,
it's a good question, Dusty.
With that, we're going to go to Casey and see if he's got any updates for us as to what he's got happening on his channel coming up this week.
Certainly. So I've got the destination charger video. I've got it cut, but now I need to there was so much good material. I got some photos I want to put in there, and then there was a performance that was done by some local artists that I'd like to get in there and keep it under 40 minutes because my videos can get a little long sometimes. And then of course, whenever we get the FSD update, I will put that out as well, either in the dry or in the snow or the rain. And then I've got a couple products for the Tesla that you might be interested in. One of them came in, it was not the right part for my car. It was the right part for Model X, but it wasn't the right part for my Model X. So sending that back, and they're fixing it. And so those are future projects coming up. They'll probably be after the new year because we're already halfway through December now.
Exactly. Time's flying for sure.
Yes.
Well, with that, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. Helps us out, and you're supporting the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. So, Patrick, what do you got going on?
Well, as it says up here somewhere, I blog occasionally at carsreports.net. And this weekend we went and got our tree. And if you have a Model X, there are these really expensive glass suction roof racks you can get. Or if you're more DIY, what I bought was these suction cups that are made for hauling large glass sheets. They were way cheaper than a rack, and threw those up on the roof, suctioned them down, bungeed the tree on there, and it worked great. So,
are those the sea suckers?
I don't remember which brand, but yeah, they're made for hauling large glass sheets around, and they stick really well on top of the X. It's probably going to void your warranty, and if you open your doors with them on there and you shouldn't and crack your glass, don't blame me.
Yeah.
I use these suckers to hold my cameras to the car. What I would personally do, and not that my warranty counts for anything anymore, but what I probably still do today is just get a utility trailer, drag it behind the car, because all Model X's can tow to some extent. Obviously, if you got one of the early ones where the tow package was not included, you are risking your drive unit because it doesn't have the anti-sway software, and it might tear itself to bits. So make sure that if your car didn't come with the tow kit, make sure that when you go into the more about your car, that actually says the tow software is installed before you get an aftermarket hitch installed or anything to that effect.
Good point.
Yep. And I'll give my other one. I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thanks.
Very good. Well, with that, we will wrap it up this evening, and we'll get together next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Well, thank Lee Moon for this stuff, this audio.
Thank you, Lee.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Good night, everyone.